And welcome back. This is Dr. Coppola.
And I'm Dr. Montero.
And today we're talking about how to prevent your neuropathy from returning. So this is, for a lot of people it can be such a foreign concept. They think, will I ever get rid of my neuropathy? And if I do, will it come back? So that's what we want to discuss today. Things that you can do on how to prevent that neuropathy from coming back. Now, keep in mind, you're about 4 months into your treatment plan, and we said in the past it could take up to a year, sometimes longer, for the neuropathy to fully repair and completely heal those nerves.
It sure can. It sure can. Now, what's imperative is we've had so many patients that not only improve with their peripheral neuropathy, but actually have had their peripheral neuropathy reversed on out. We have one woman, delightful woman. You've seen her on our website and our testimonials, Hilda, and we did a couple of testimonials with her because we did one in the beginning of her treatment when she first began responding and started feeling good, and then we came back and did another testimonial on her 2 years later.
That was so much fun, wasn't it?
That was,
Yeah.
It really was, yeah. And so 2 years later, she was still neuropathy free, her neuropathy completely gone. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way we want it to be for you. But that's not the way it always is for a lot of people, but it's in your control. And that's why we're going over this with you today.
So what you're gonna find is the concepts of preventing the neuropathy from coming back boil back to everything we've discussed leading up to today. That is, the things that you need to do to keep yourself healthy, the things you need to avoid or correct that cause the neuropathy in the first place.
So true. So let's talk about some of those things right now. You've heard us say this several times in some of the previous videos. Glucose. You must keep your glucose levels down. So hopefully by this point you've done a lot to really make lifestyle changes, to really work to reverse on out your diabetes, and bare minimum to certainly improve your diabetes. If you allow your glucose levels to get elevated and stay elevated, well, in a matter of about a year, it's going to start damaging the peripheral nerves again. And one thing we want to implore is during this period of time, you've worked so hard to begin recovering from your neuropathy. Some of you out there have recovered fully from your neuropathy. Some of you are about halfway there from recovering, but we don't want you to lose that ground. We don't want you to lose that footwork. So you have to stick with the lifestyle changes. Keep those glucose levels down. Now, we're not saying that you have to use the D word, right? The diet word for the rest of your life. Why don't you tell them about the 80-20 principle?
We live by an 80-20 principle when it comes to diet, and that's simply, 80% of the time we try and eat healthy, and 20% of the time we, let loose a little bit and kind of indulge. So, you don't have to be ultra strict. When you get to a certain point of stability, you can eat healthy about 80% of the time, and then, we like to, for example, 5 days a week we'll eat very healthy. Saturday we'll tend to let loose, and Sunday's sort of like a moderate day, right?
Right. I would have to agree with you there. But so that's very achievable. This way you're not feeling deprived and you're not missing out on the things that you love the most. The other thing that we want to point on out, we talked about just a couple of segments ago, statin medications. So you want to do your very best to stay off of statin medications.
Yeah, that's such a heavy hitter when it comes to damaging the nerves. The other one, of course, that we talked about, is those antibiotics, the fluoroquinolones. Need to stay away from Cipro, Levaquin, Avalox. Never, ever.
Did we say ever? So remember, and the generic form is anything that ends in floxacin. That's part of that same family, so never take those. Now, one of the ones we haven't talked about before and we haven't brought up is you really want to stay away from artificial sweeteners. That's the blue packet, the pink packet, the yellow packet. Those are neurotoxic, meaning they do damage to the nerves and they poison the nerves. So you really don't want to do any artificial sweeteners. So what do you recommend they do for natural sweeteners that won't spike blood glucose?
Well, some of the things we like to use is stevia, which is a natural sweetener. I find that it's great in teas in particular. We use xylitol, which doesn't spike your glucose levels, and we enjoy that. Like when we indulge in a cup of coffee, the xylitol seems to work better with coffee. You can use a little bit of honey every once in a while, but that, that really should be on a limited basis, but at least it's a natural sweetener.
It really is. Now, there's another classification of medications that are known to bring about peripheral neuropathy. Not nearly as bad as statin medications, but they run a pretty close second. And those are blood pressure medications, and they're called calcium channel blockers. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Doc?
Certainly. So calcium channel blockers, just as the name would suggest, it blocks the absorption of calcium in the cells. Well, guess what? Your nerves need calcium to function normal. And not just your nerve cells, but all the tissue in your body, our bones, our muscles. And so without if you block the absorption of calcium, you're gonna damage the nerves. Now, you're gonna know this classification of blood pressure medication by amlodipine, Norvasc,
Cardizem, Procardia, Verapamil. Those are all different types of calcium channel blockers. Now, there are 4 main classifications of blood pressure medications that can be used, and calcium channel blockers are just one of those. So many times when we have a patient come into our clinic, I write a letter to the patient's doctor asking them to remove them from the calcium channel blocker and to replace it with any variation from some of the other different classifications of blood pressure medication. So that might be an ACE inhibitor, it might be a beta blocker, it might be an ARB, an angiotensin receptor blocker, or a combination of any of those, because even if they have to combine 2 drugs to manage that blood pressure, it's still better than taking 1 calcium channel blocker.
Absolutely. So let's talk about alcohol. We've talked about this in the past. We said if you don't want that neuropathy to come back, you certainly don't want to go back to consuming alcohol on a daily basis. Really, it should be, at the most 1 day a week, maybe 2, and it shouldn't be binging either. Maybe 2 or 3 drinks max.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. So, we don't want to belabor that, but again, alcohol, if you go back to drinking daily, even 2 glasses of wine, and one of the things we forgot to mention last time we talked about alcohol, we've had so many patients say, but what about the studies that wine is good for your heart? Red wine is good for your heart. Yes, there are certainly studies out there that say red wine is good for your heart. And what Dr. Coppola and I did, being industrious, is we decided to follow the money trail. So we wanted to look at who funded those studies showing that red wine is good for your heart. And would you like to share with them where the funding came from, Doc?
Well, it's the wine growers.
The Wine Growers Association. They funded the study. So, how objective do you think that study may be? Now, don't get me wrong. Dr. C and I, we enjoy wine. We like to consider ourselves a little bit of wine connoisseurs, although we're really not, but we like to consider ourselves that. So we enjoy a glass or 2 of wine. So, I don't want you to think we're anti-alcohol, but the truth is the truth. That study was funded by the Wine Growers Association, so it's not completely objective. If you want to get good heart benefits, then you're better off taking supplements like hawthorn berry, resveratrol, grapeseed extract, not oil, grapeseed extract. These are all wonderful things to help your heart. Allicin, which is an extract from garlic. That's how you want to get good heart benefits, not from drinking wine.
Well said. Okay, now again, just being repetitious here because that's the way you're going to learn. We talked about neuropathy can take a year or longer to heal, so that means staying on your Euphoria Gold and Blue for at least a year or 2. Keep in mind, we think, gosh, a year or 2, that's so long. Now, people who are on gabapentin, they're taking it for the rest of their life. Euphoria Gold and Blue, we're talking about a year, maybe 2 years. Big difference in having to rely on some medication for the rest of your life.
It really is, and I want to share with you, neither Dr. Coppola nor myself have peripheral neuropathy, but we take both Neuphoria Gold and Blue on a daily basis because it has so many other health benefits aside from healing peripheral nerves. So for instance, we talked about the alpha lipoic acid, how that really helps regulate blood sugar and keeps your hemoglobin A1C down. Well, everybody needs B vitamins, so how nice is it to be able to take one supplement where we can get our alpha lipoic acid and our B vitamins all in the same place. And then of course we've got the acetyl L-carnitine, which is just a wonderful antioxidant, and the arginine, which really helps circulation. So we do it preventatively. That's part of our maintenance supplements that we take on a regular basis. Now, we're not saying that you need to do that for the rest of your life. We're just sharing with you some of the things that we like to do.
Indeed.
So one of the other things that is going to be very important to help keep you neuropathy free, and trust me when I tell you, you can stay neuropathy free. But one of the other things are getting the silver fillings out of your mouth. Why are those bad, Doc?
Gosh, you know, mercury, there's so many studies that show how toxic mercury is to the nervous system. So, you know, and literally when you put those silver fillings, which are really predominantly mercury.
They really
right?
are.
So every time you chew and you grind your food, it's literally emitting mercury vapor into your body, which is highly, highly toxic to the body and the nerves.
I encourage you, go on the internet, go to YouTube, and type into the search bar, the smoking tooth. It's a great 10-minute video about how mercury leaches on out from silver fillings and the research studies behind it. It's a research study in and of itself that came out of Canada, and how it's been linked with all different forms of cancer, including brain cancer and so many chronic diseases and chronic illnesses. So this is a big player.
And you know, just to let you know, the fight that you're fighting, you know, trying to recover your health, whether it be neuropathy or just trying to feel better, more energy, more vitality, we're going through the same struggles. I had mercury fillings in my mouth. I had to have them removed. You want to go to a holistic dentist if you do that. There's a very specific way that they remove those fillings so that during the process of removing the fillings, you're not becoming poisoned as those vapors and you know, having it leach back into your body.
That's a very good point, absolutely. So we've gone over a lot of information and a lot of material with you over the past 16 weeks. I hope you found it enlightening. I hope you found it a little bit entertaining, because we like to have a little bit of fun, even though this is, you know, these are very, very serious topics, but we like to lighten it on up.
I would suggest keeping in touch with us. Visit our website, nervedoctor.info. We're always putting new posts and blogs there. You know, the key is to stay educated and to learn a little bit every week, every month, every year, so you get to a point of being knowledgeable and taking control of your health.
And visit our Facebook page. Type in San Antonio Neuropathy Center and you'll see our Facebook page. We put in lots of pertinent information, not only about peripheral neuropathy, but about different health topics in general. We share recipes. We love animals. We're big animal advocates, so you will always find within the week a couple of animal videos. So you'll really enjoy the website, and you'll find an enormous amount of information there.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this journey so far. I know we have.
We certainly have. We've really enjoyed the time we've spent with you.
And we look forward to hearing your success stories. By all means, please share them with us on our website at nervedoctor.info.
We cannot wait to see your full recovery. We look forward to talking to you soon.
God
Take
bless.
care.